What's up, man?
Just hanging out, doing random reading, and yeah. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm looking up. Let me just go to the. All right, I'm making sure it's all going.
Oh yeah, good idea.
Let's see how many people are on board. Oh, it's like five. I'm not
Cool.
used to this. Well, obviously, because I've never done this before. So on
Yeah,
my channel,
yeah.
I was hella nervous a lot. Like when I was uh on your channel, I just didn't. And plus, I didn't have headphones, so I think like it's easy when it's on the computer. It can be easy to like talk over someone. So I think all right. So I think we're good. Can I
Cool.
make this? Can I make this bigger in stream? Oh yeah, I can make it full screen.
Yeah, yeah,
Perfect.
yeah. Live streaming is such a weird deal, and I'm kind of trying to like just. My schedule's been kind of crazy, but I'm trying to get some reps because it does kind of get easier. But like the first few times, there's so many things you have to account for. So yeah,
Yeah, like a lot with this. I was like obviously I was troubleshooting for like 10 minutes, 15 minutes or so. There's a lot that goes into it. I didn't know about.
yeah.
What was I gonna say? So what were your thoughts on Wendy's television?
It was a really
Uh,
great episode, and it was really fun to sort of get a little bit of a insight into the process because we talked about a couple things on the live stream we did about a month or so ago that came
yeah,
up in part 7. And it was just really interesting seeing other people's reaction to it. And yeah, I thought it was a great installment and longer than a lot of the previous ones.
yeah.
Did it take like a lot more time to compile and edit, or how was that process?
Um, for this one, it was a little bit longer because of the spreadsheet. Um, and I think some of it was because of the I was going over stuff from June, and I think I didn't really intend on part 7 being like this. But when I did, well, I was going to go into part 7 talking about the call records from like 9 and 10 in the morning.
Mm,
And when I did that, I was going to do that, and then I noticed that I forgot about Sigfredo's ticket, and I was
mm.
like, so yeah, I was a little mad about that. So I had to include because there's so much that leads up from Sigfredo in the June trip that contributes to the July trip and the whole Latin Kings Rico thing. You know,
Right. Yeah, that's one of the things that's like so like with editing video, you can just spend like an endless amount of time on stuff. And then like once you get, partway into like whatever your outline is, you're like, oh my God, there's so much more stuff that you just
yeah,
end up it just ends up becoming like a thing where you can spend forever because you just want to make it perfect. Hey, what's up, True Crime Metrics? I've been watching
True
some of your
Crime Metrics.
streams.
What's up?
Do you ever watch? I'm sure you've watched his streams before as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely, absolutely.
yeah. There's such an interesting, different vibe, and I really enjoy them. But yeah, there was just and especially like I can see how that would be in the beginning of that video. It gets into like a lot of really interesting stuff about you know, the do not, no non-interference stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, one of the things that I was thinking about with that is it also sort of has like a layer of like indication about the way that the state or feds were surveilling the Latin kings, because I was thinking about like Sigfredo wasn't a Latin king, right?
you know what? I didn't think he was because of they kept saying that he wasn't a Latin king, but when I was reading the paperwork, it said, and actually, it's in Luis's plea agreement. It had what he pled guilty to, and what he pled guilty to was planning 2 armed robberies, like home invasions, and it was all on wire, and it said King Tuto at the end of it. I'm like, I didn't think that was. I thought he was just Tuto, not King Tuto, you
Hmm.
know. But this was part of the investigation. They don't know who's who, and just because he's not a Latin king doesn't mean he can't be indicted with them, you know.
Yeah.
It's just like with Young Thug and Gunna. Gunna was um um he wasn't a blood like the YSL gang was, but he's a Crip, and so he's still wrapped up in it because he's part of the conspiracy. It doesn't matter if you're actually a solid member; you can be an
Right.
associate.
Yeah, they're like he's like either a known associate or part of some other organization, some other gang or whatever that's clicked up with them, which is very yeah. Do you have you been following that trial, the Young Thug one? I've been following it a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah,
I thought it was a weak case to begin with because
yeah,
I think the feds would have picked it up if it was a solid case for the feds. But the having a RICO for things that were going back from 2015 and it's just sporadic things, and they just want to put that together. Like if you, I should have sent you the Latin King stuff. If you see the Latin King stuff, these people were working.
mm,
They were doing it. So um not YSL. They're a rap label, but they come from a blood set in Atlanta.
mm. Yeah. It's been interesting to kind of follow a little bit, but it's like also like I think they're close to like 95 or whatever 100 days of trial already in, which like just
Hmm.
thinking about like the record in that case makes me want to like it's just so it's so intense and just all the other like messy stuff that the prosecution has gotten into is
Hmm.
I don't know. It's kind of really a bummer for me because I'm a huge fan of Thug's music. I have
Yeah.
been like going back and like listening to his early mixtapes and the stuff that he did with Rich Homie Quan back in the day is like so amazing. It's like so different than anything else from that era. So it's
Yeah,
just
that 2013, 2015,
yep.
those years were really, really good. But it's crazy watching a trial and seeing all those people that are ratting, and it's like this is what happens when you do that. You're betraying your friends, but this is on the internet for all the world to see. It's just I kind of enjoy it. I like when people who go up there and snitch just get there. It's just like the life you just get sucked out of them. I know it sounds crazy because I've read the comments on my videos and people are like, oh, they should have just said this. That's not how it works. You're not supposed to do that. It's let me just make this clear. This is what all right, a regular person who calls the police or reports a crime, that's not snitching. A snitch is someone who makes a personal decision to benefit off of breaking the law and then makes a decision to assist those who enforce the law for their personal benefit. That's what a snitch is.
Right. It's
That's
like
it.
being inside of a conspiracy and then ratting out other members of that
Right.
conspiracy.
You can't break the law for your personal benefit and then assist those who enforce the law for your personal benefit. You can't do both.
Hmm.
So once you do it, that's what it is.
Hmm.
So um and like with Luis Rivera snitching, he's snitching because Sigfredo didn't give him the whole rundown of what the risks were. And that's a major reason why he snitched. Otherwise, I don't think he would.
Hmm. Yeah. Some of the other interesting stuff that's like I was trying to parse in my own mind is just thinking about the extent to which just like the interactions between like Sigfredo and Rivera and like the two times they got pulled over and like to what extent law enforcement was aware of that, which would sort of make clue them in that like they
Yeah.
probably Luis and Sigfredo probably know that something's going on or just all that sort of stuff. There's so much that
Right.
we sort of still don't know about that whole circumstance.
Like, I strongly believe that Luis didn't know this when the feds first approached him while he was in jail and said, look, you want to say something about this? And he actually, it's in the paperwork. It says he didn't want to cooperate. Then they came back and they showed him some things. And then he's like, well, shit, you
Hmm.
know? And it wasn't like, oh, we have solid evidence. This is what he did to cover his tracks to be able to go up there. And I think Luis obviously knows from watching his proffer that if Sigfredo would have told him, I got pulled over, I got a suspended license, and I got let go, that he would have been like, oh. Because I know I really know this. I've seen this happen before. One dude I know, well, I don't know him like that. But I used to be cool with him, and he started selling MDMA, right?
Mm.
And when he was doing it, he was really reckless about it. Like people were paying him with credit cards. It was a whole mess. And so um and he was my barber at the time. Then I stopped going to him, and he's like, "Why do you stop coming to me?" I'm just like, you're hot right now." And I'm telling you, because he knows me, he knew my history when I first met him, like 6 or 7 years prior. Like he knows, like I'm really like that, you know. And he's like, I'm like, you gotta chill out. I'm like, look at all this stuff going on, and you don't see the police that never pulled you over. I got in a wreck with him,
Hmm.
and the police passed us, and he was driving drunk, and I was just like,
Jesus.
that's it. And then like maybe 6 months later, they got him.
Motor vehicle stuff, like anytime you get into a car, you have to just assume that you have like zero rights. I mean, it's because it's basically what it is, because it's just a different set of circumstances. I'm just checking in on the comments. I don't know if
Okay.
yeah, just a couple people saying hi. And it's interesting because you like end up seeing like a lot of great folks. Like Rabbit is somebody that
Yeah.
I first encountered, I think, in the Matrix. I always mess up. I think it's Metrix. I don't know. Anyway, just a lot
Give
of
us the
interesting.
proper pronunciation.
I think it's metrics, but the other thing that's like really interesting about that channel is he's just got such an interesting, great accent, and I think some of the vowel sounds are going to be different. So I think that's
Where's he
part of it.
from? Where's he from?
I think Australia, but
Oh, okay.
I have my own headcanon, because he sounds like, I don't know. For whatever reason, I think he sounds like he has like 90% of an Australian accent and then 10% of a British accent, but I don't know. I just am always like.
Does that equal a New Zealand accent?
Maybe but I think he's. I don't know. We'll need to interrogate him. I've been trying to get Frank on a stream for a while. So,
Yeah, we need a
um,
proper session with him. We need to know some more information.
oh, I have a question about the proffer session with Louise. Well, there's like a million things that I want to know about
Okay.
that. But what's really interesting about it is like, I don't know. He just like his interactions with the police and how they're. I don't know. There's such a disconnect in communication, but he
Hmm.
also seems to be like he's wearing like non-standard issue stuff. I mean, he has like the orange jumpsuit, but it looks like he's wearing like Jordans or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, he's wearing Jordans.
Yeah.
And if like you don't have to necessarily wear the stuff they give you. You can wear Jordans if you can defend yourself.
Right.
So the whole thing about him with his life injury and stuff like that, I wasn't really believing it because he's wearing Jordans in prison. So it's like, all right, you know, you can,
Yeah.
I can't. You're clearly able to defend yourself because you're gonna
Right.
that's to
'Cause
be the first thing because you're not gonna have anything for yourself. They're gonna take
right,
everything
right.
from you.
Yeah, right. That would be like the most prized thing. I don't know. I guess I just wasn't aware that like you could get other like non-standard shoes in prison, but I guess it makes sense. I'm just not too familiar. Yeah, but it's like the little details like that like you notice. I notice
Hmm.
after watching stuff a few times, you're like, huh, I hadn't
Yeah.
noticed that before, but it looks like he's wearing like nines or tens or something.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I'm like, okay, you're saying your life is in danger, but you're wearing new stuff, and he has the red jumpsuit on. So he's like, I mean, that might be the contrasting from like orange,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
red usually means you're more violent.
Mhm.
It depends on where
Oh,
you're at.
interesting. I see a comment from Lee who asked to turn on the closed captioning. I think that like that's something that's a good piece of feedback, but it can be like really kind of like difficult to try to mess with settings like while we're in the tank here. But I just saw that in the comments, and then True
Will it
Crime
mess it
Metric
up?
responded and said that he's got to keep us guessing, which he's very mysterious, this fellow. So that's kind of why I
Who's
respond.
mysterious?
What's that?
Who's mysterious?
Oh,
True
True Crime
metrics?
Metrics.
Yeah.
Like I'll like I sort of like communicate with him on his chat and like kind of like try to probe into stuff, and it's just a fun sort of back and forth.
I'm gonna participate more on this channel. I haven't really engaged. Like I've watched just a few things on this channel, but I haven't really engaged. I watch a lot of people's stuff and just like
Yep,
see what people are talking about.
for
You
sure.
know,
Yeah, what the thing that like I'm finding like really impressive is he streams like it seems like almost every single day. It's kind of wild.
yeah. for hours, for
Yeah.
hours.
You know, one
Um,
other thing that I just sort of thought of about that proffer session is there's that one expression that you talked about where he said something in Spanish that was very important. And I'm
yeah.
just wondering, like, how many other instances like that did you come across where you like thought like maybe there was something lost in translation or
Well, there's a lot of stuff that was lost in translation because they kept asking him to elaborate on things, but he doesn't know how to elaborate in a way that they'll understand.
yeah.
So like he can tell them like the things he did, but like the reasoning behind it, he just does, I don't think he knows like the how to say it because it's not told, you
Hmm.
know. And so it's interesting with him. Like it's not just the part, the el no me molesta part. It's not just that. It's like it's a lot of other things. Like that was just in translation with the transcript. That's the only part that I noticed where he said something in Spanish. I was like,
Hmm.
that's not what I read in the transcript, you know? So
Yeah, I wonder if they ever like considered using a Spanish translator. I don't know that that would necessarily help, but
no, I don't think it's about the Spanish. I think
yeah,
he's from another life and he just doesn't know how to present it in a way
yeah, he
like
doesn't think in those terms exactly. Yeah,
no, he doesn't. And so that's like kind of how I found my niche. Like I know how to break things down. And you know what? I'm not gonna say that. I know how to break things down, but I still have people in the comments like asking me to elaborate things that I don't think they needed to be needed clarification. I'm like, oh shit. You know, so I'm like, all right, if I'm
hmm.
doing this, for damn sure Luis Rivera's doing that, you know.
Yeah,
But let's see what the questions say.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
There's a couple of them.
oh, hold up, this one's good. Omar Little. I'm from Baltimore, actually.
Oh, you are.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've always wanted to go there for a number of different things. You know, it's got an
I'm from the
interesting history.
suburbs. I'm not. I'm
Okay.
not from the city. I'm from the suburbs, though. I'm from the suburbs. You can hear it in my voice. I'm from the suburbs, but
Yeah.
um, Omar Little. I need to fully understand how if Katie really knew the hit was done at 12:30. Okay, if you watched Wendy's television part 7, and I go over how I'm theorizing how Wendy changed up the flow of information that was supposed to go from uh, Wendy to Charlie to Katie to Sigfredo and vice and the other way around, and changed it from Wendy to Donna to Charlie, or Wendy to Donna, Donna to Harvey, or Wendy to Donna and Harvey, and then to Charlie, then to Katie. So if you take that from June 4th and put that to July 18th, through the communications on the TV repair, this is I'm theorizing this, but the way that they notified one another is just by like forwarding the email over
Hmm.
at that time. This is what I think. I think that when she knew it happened, she went on her burner smartphone, because I think she left her real phone at home. And I'm gonna say this: she was there when it happened. When Dan was shot,
You're referring to Wendy here?
Wendy.
Yep.
When Dan was shot, Wendy was there. She was on the street, like in the kind of if you're. How do I do a full screen so I can do a map?
Um, I think you can. What you can do is you can. I think it's present and then share screen. I don't know if you have that option. But that's how I would do it. And then like open up another window in my browser. I'm on desktops. I'm not sure if so it might be a little bit different process if you're on some other not on like either a PC or anyway. That's how I would do it. But, yeah,
Share screen is easiest with 2 monitors. I don't have 2 monitors right now.
yeah.
Sharing on a good computer.
It's kind of annoying to figure out. But it yeah.
All right. Let me
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah,
all
there's
right.
like a million different little things about And I think we might have even chatted about this a little bit before, which is might even be something that you would sort of map out in a future Wendy's television.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna do that because I did that for the part where the dead drop part. I mapped that out, but I think I don't know if I'm doing this right. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
What I definitely remember about you sort of mentioning it before is, and we might have even talked about it on the last stream, but we've chatted a little bit elsewhere, so it's hard to sort of reconstruct. But I think you were talking about how, sort of like the sound of the gun in the garage and that sort of whole scenario, I think was very sort of
yeah,
interesting.
I got a part in part 8 about that with um 2116 Trescott. Okay.
Hmm.
216. It's like I know all the address and shit by heart.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's interesting. 2116 Trescott. Yeah, that's close
Yeah.
to.
Okay. All right. Is my screen doing? Is it full? Is it showing you my screen?
Yeah, it's the same setup right now.
Okay. Okay. Give me one
Yeah.
momentito. Okay, give me a
Hey,
second.
I see a question from Jen about the meaning of my name, the name of my channel, 544 Camp Street. Something I've been thinking about changing for a long time, but it is a reference to a street in New Orleans. It's where Lee Harvey Oswald was handing out leaflets during his stay in New Orleans. It's kind of a random thing, but I was really, and still am really into conspiracy stuff like the Kennedy assassination. So
Got you.
yeah. Have you ever gotten into conspiracy stuff at all? Have you ever like?
Not so much.
Yeah.
Christy, eres tan bueno, hermano. Muchísimas gracias ahí. Thank you. Let's see. I'm presenting share screen. Okay.
Oh, interesting comment from Rabbit, saying that in Wendy's law enforcement interview around 30 minutes, she says we listen to the voicemail. That's really interesting. I need to. There's so many. Yeah, that's a.
Yeah. Is it showing?
Yep. Sorry.
Oh,
Yep.
all right. Okay.
We're now off to the side, and you have. Okay, perfect. Awesome.
Did you say you could speak Spanish?
A little bit. Like I did like a Spanish immersion program, like 10 plus years ago. So, yeah, at one point I was like a little bit able to communicate, but it's been a while. So, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I can read it like a little, it takes a little bit of strain, but yeah.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I grew up speaking Spanish at home.
Oh, interesting.
Um,
I really like it because it like makes sense. It's such a logical language, like the rules of it, especially compared to English, which is just like there's always some weird. So that was the part that I really sort of enjoyed about it.
Where's the satellite one? Come on now, map
Oh
type.
yeah,
Satellite. Okay, there we are. We're already here. Okay.
yep.
Now,
This is awesome. I can't wait.
Zoom in here. Okay, that's Trescott. Now, remember where they got they did the dead drop, right? Where the guy saw, where the person saw them. Now, based on what they're describing, their apartment would be right here. Like this part here, probably on the second or third floor based on their field of vision. So they could
like,
see in.
You think that they were staying in that apartment? Somebody was staying in that apartment, or
no. I think Wendy had that as like a possible meetup spot.
Okay.
Because it's close to Trescott. And all right.
Yeah.
Now, here's what I think happened on the dead drop part. This is Thomasville Road. We all know that. And
Yep.
they come in through here, go in the cut up here, park there. And then there's a little path that goes here, over through here, and it goes to Dan's house. Oh, that's 217. Let me put 216 in.
Interesting. I didn't
Now,
realize sort of the layout there, that it had such a big sort of land, so much empty land next to it,
Yep. Yeah, exactly. When I was looking at the map, I'm like, oh, they can come through the back. And they probably wanted to do something like that. Now, this is what I'm theorizing this, and I really think I'm right about this, even though it sounds crazy. But the way that Wendy knew about this is because she was within earshot of it. Okay. So there was another house that called the police at the same time that was right around here. So if you take the sound radius, it would be, they would definitely hear it right here, right? And remember in the proffer, Luis said he mentioned Wendy when he saw her on Thursday, but on Friday, he's like, on the day of the murder, that's when I saw Wendy. He said that. So now, how did he see her? When he comes out the driveway, so they pull up. All right, so Dan came from this way, okay? And Sigfredo and Luis came from this way. When they followed him from the gym, they went around, okay, Thomasville Road and met him here. And so when he pulled in, they based on what Luis said, when Dan went into the garage, Sigfredo got out on the street, ran up to the front. Luis pulled him behind him, so he's in. So Luis is in Dan's field of vision in his rear view, but Luis sneaks up on him on the side and shoots him. He doesn't know what hit him. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he was on the phone with that guy and he said, I see someone behind me. I don't know. He didn't say some people. He said someone. So he's looking behind him and to his right, but Sigfredo is on the left. And then Luis gives him the signal to go in. He said it, but he didn't say it in the proffer. But I can break it down for you in the next part of Wendy's television. But
yeah.
So when he comes out, he goes out and goes back the way that he came. And he said, right when I got to the speed bump, which is right about here. Now you see this. See how that's all dry right there, right? And you can cut right through right here. This is 300 feet. That's all it is. Go right. I think Wendy parked here.
Oh.
Left her regular phone at home. Got the burner phone. Came up here because she knew what was going to happen because she told, Charlie, and she told Charlie that, but I think that was already planned out. And then she walks through here, and then that's Dan's house. So Wendy is here. This is what I was pointing out. This right at the speed bump. See, you go, there's no house there. You can just go right back there and get to where those apartments are. So Wendy came out here. And then when Luis came by this way, from right to left, he looked in her rear view. He said, right when I hit the speed bump, that's when I saw Wendy. Wendy was standing right there.
Wow.
So I think she heard it. And this is why I think she went back there. Because if you're standing here and Dan's in his garage, right? You see that? That's Dan's house right there. You can't see. She heard 2 shots, but she can't see anything. So she can't walk over there and look. She's trying to look in the driveway and see if he's there. So she leaves, she gets in her car, goes home, she walks back to her car, notifies Donna at 11:06. I think 11:01 or 11:06, if I'm not mistaken. Or that's when Donna called Charlie. It's like 11:06. So she did it before that. She goes home, switches phones, races back down there, right? She races back down there because she doesn't know for sure if he was actually shot. She only heard the gunshots. She didn't see anything because he's in the garage. And the only way that she can see Indian's garage
is if she's, sort of.
Is if she's here. The only way she can see is if she's here. She would have to be here to there and up close. And she can't go up there because it's too risky to go there. So she raced home, switched phones, ran back, came back this way, saw all the police, and already knew it happened. She already knew because she heard it. The forensic truck says he's dead, right? The forensics truck was right there.
Right. Yep. And so that was like, yeah. And then, gosh, there's so much interesting noise in there. That's like, so, yeah, that's so,
Does that make sense, everybody? Like,
it
I hope it does.
definitely tracks for the most part. There's just like little things I'm thinking about. Like, I wonder whether or not any of the sort of seeming randomness had to do with like neighbors being there. But I mean, I don't even know that there would have, because it's sort of probably it's on a Friday during a work day. So what do you think about that? Like the potential, because there's a house, there's like a house right next to Trescott or to 2116, right? So
that's where Geiger lived. He lived next door.
Okay.
He saw him backing out.
Right. For some reason, I thought he lived across the street, but you're saying he lived like on the same side of the street next door, like the house closest.
He's on the same side of the street next door.
Okay, so that's the other building that's like right next to Dan's. That's like a bigger house or something. That's interesting.
Yeah, and it's got a big window in front, so he didn't even have to come outside. He looked and saw it.
Wow.
You know?
And thinking about like the sound almost would have had to travel, but I guess it still sort of makes sense. But because I think were the shots fired like inside the garage? Because that's
inside the garage.
Yeah,
that's another demonstration that I make on the next part. So, have you ever like taken your phone and like you play some music on it, but then if you take the phone and put it in like an open box, it's louder?
Right.
It's the same concept. The acoustics is the same concept with a gunshot. It's much louder farther away than it is because it has the time. It echoes inside of it and it comes out.
Right. And the other thing, I guess, too, is like Geiger's so close that even if there's some muffling because it's traveling laterally out of the garage, he's still going to hear it.
Yeah, he's going to hear it for real, and it's going to be super loud.
Yeah.
It's going to be much louder in a garage because the garage is just walls and cement floor, so it's going to echo, and it's going to be very loud, and the sound will travel.
Right.
And I know Sigfredo's done this shit before. Like, who shoots twice in a window and the first shot goes through the window and the second shot goes through the same hole? It's just one hole. That's how steady his hand is. Do you know who Alpo is?
Yeah.
So Alpo, yeah. When he got killed on Halloween back in like 2019, I think it was 2019. I think he the person that shot him, like it was 4 shots right next to each other, in like close to each other that shot him all in the same. That's someone that's done that before. They know how to handle the recoil. I don't know how to do that. I'm not in the guns.
Yeah,
I mean, I can't even own a gun, so it's like I really have never shot a gun before.
Yeah.
But like I've seen people shoot, and it's like that recoil looks pretty interesting.
Yeah, and especially on a handgun, if you're not like experienced with them, they're very even like rifles are sort of weird. I don't really shoot guns that much, but just being from up here in Alaska, you just end up being around quite a few guns. And so
yeah. Oh yeah, that's part of the,
Yeah. I think somebody was asking Crystal Blue 22, can you expand it and show us where she was hiding? I don't know that I think you're sort of go ahead.
I think she was like right like where I showed you where the speed bump is, like back in there a little bit. I think she came out to the sidewalk, and that's where Louis saw her. And when he saw her, like she's already dressed for this. She's wearing green, she's wearing khakis, she's wearing black shoes. She's kind of camouflaging with the environment there. This is already her plan.
Right.
And so when Louis saw her, he looked in his rear view. She's standing there, and probably Sigfredo's all ramped up because he just shot someone. And he looks and he's like, this bitch is over here again. And so he goes on Instagram and posts the owl because she was wearing it on her shirt. Because it's like, if like compartmentalization is like this. If the intermediary, if the more information that the intermediary tells you about the other side, you have to assume that they know more about you. They're talking about you. So to level that out, he did that to be like, yeah, you know who I am, but I really know who you are because I know you saw this. And he would know if she saw it by the reaction of the people close to her. So when Charlie answered the phone with the gun in his hand, you know that Katie saw that. You know, Katie told Sigfredo and Sigfredo told Luis. And Luis is like, yep.
All right, yeah, and then that's all you needed, and so he could take it down. One thing I really like about the sort of through line of your theory here is that it like really presents Wendy in this consistent light where she's like always like, and it sort of fits with what we know of her personality, where she like always like feels like she needs to be involved to try to like make sure that stuff happens correctly or something like that. And it seems to present, you know, where she sort of involves herself in the communication and also like later on with thinking about actually like wanting to be there for the thing or see it. It's just
right. That's how foul she is. Like here's the thing. Like when people look at Wendy and I see it in my comments, and it doesn't frustrate me, but it's like they wouldn't, like, y'all wouldn't know. Like there's, when it comes to like criminal stuff, there's not a big variety of personalities. There really isn't. And I've met Wendy's, I've met Charlie's, I've met Luis's, I've met Tuto's, I've met Katie's. It's like I've met people just like them. People who like Wendy, who want to be close to the action but aren't supposed to be there. I've seen that. I've seen women like Katie who are adjacent to people doing gangster shit, and then they keep money for themselves. Most of those women end up dead. When you see women that look like they haven't done anything bad in their life, but their boyfriend's into some shit, most of the time when they get killed, it's because they did something, they crossed over and did something, and then they paid the consequences for it. Katie would have been dead if she wasn't Sigfredo's woman. There's no way you would survive that.
Yeah, she seems like such a wild card in this whole thing, and probably the reason why everybody ended up getting paranoid, or however you want to, you know, characterize it. Like, I think she probably caused some sort of issue in one of the first iterations of the plan, and that's why Wendy maybe felt like, I don't know. What do you think about that? Like that Wendy had.
Yeah, I think so. I think it started out the way that y'all know it to be, is as far as like the way that they map it out in the closing arguments. Like Georgia, she maps it all out, like this person, that person. I think that's the way it should have been like that, but it wasn't going to last long that way, because when someone messes up in the middle, the people at the ends don't want to deal with waiting on playing telephone with someone or someone mixing up information. If someone's taking money, they're remixing the information. You got to get them out of there, and you got to do it silently so they don't do something to sabotage things. So you let them think that everything's still going on, and you just deal with it later.
That explains so much about Katie's testimony on the stand, where like maybe they probably thought, maybe let her think that she was still like integral to the conspiracy when she really wasn't. And that would explain why some of her answers just seem so like she just doesn't really know.
Because she doesn't.
Yeah.
And that's why she thought she was going to get off, because she knew she was cut out to an extent. Charlie knew he was cut out. This is why, like, people like them who don't normally commit crimes think that they can beat a case because they were cut out a month before. So like, I wasn't really in that.
Man.
Like,
Core Jean asks, I'm sorry, go ahead.
What did you say?
I was just going to say, I see a comment from Core Jean asking about if you had any thoughts about why Katie didn't take a plea. Surely it was against lawyer advice.
Where's the comment I want to put up on the screen?
12:58 p.m. just a couple of minutes ago.
Oh, look at you at Alaska time, 12:58. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
12.
Makes it hard to set up these live streams, folks. So I apologize.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Who said this?
I think it was Laura Jean. I'm trying. Oh,
Cora
Cora
Jean.
Jean. Excuse me.
Okay. Why did Katie not take a plea? Surely it was against lawyer advice. It might not have been her against her lawyer's advice. I think if she were to take all right, it's a difference between taking a plea, like copping out and just pleading guilty, and cooperating with law enforcement. If for her, she can't cooperate and just point out certain things. She has to tell if you get in that situation, you have to talk about all criminal activity that you know about, not just the stuff you're involved in. And remember, her sister-in-law was in that whole embezzlement thing. So she would have had to talk about that too. That's the real reason why they gave her immunity, not because of her place in this case, but her place within the one about her sister-in-law. She would have had to be on 2 trials. That's how she would have got immunity. And she would have to, yeah.
So you're saying it was bigger than just the Markel stuff?
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, like there was nothing that they would have gotten from Katie just on the Markel case.
Right.
They needed information on the Markel case and her sister-in-law's case. They needed that too. There's a video on Deep Dive True Crime with Katie's brother talking to the feds, and Chris DeCoste was in there.
Yeah.
So that's why she would have to throw Sigfredo under the bus. And I don't think Sigfredo would have minded that either. He knew he was done.
Yeah, God, that's so interesting. And it also makes, like, one thing I was thinking about is like, well, then what was the state's calculus in putting Katie on the stand? And they kind of had to put her on the stand because she was part of at least the initial phase of the conspiracy. So it would, I guess it makes sense in just sort of, I don't know. Do you have any thoughts about like what the state's?
I think the state is this is different because the feds are running this case. It's not the state. There are 34 federal agents on the witness list on Donna's case.
Wow.
That doesn't happen for a state murder conspiracy. There are 34 federal agents because they're all coming from the Latin Kings RICO. So the Latin Kings RICO, they're looking over stuff and they realize that these guys went to Tallahassee, and then they go and figure out what's going on with that case, and they find out they killed someone. There's no way they're going to let the state do this, run that case, because they weren't doing shit from 2014 to 2015. The Latin Kings RICO, that investigation started. Well, they started collecting evidence in January of 2014. They didn't get indicted till Cinco de Mayo of 2015. So a year and 5 months, and y'all don't have nothing? Like a year and 5 months that these guys were under investigation, and almost a year after they murdered him, they didn't have anything.
Do you remember what feds showed up in the earlier trials? Because I'm struggling to remember.
Pat Sanford's been there the whole time.
Okay, that's right. Yeah. And the other person I thought of when you mentioned that is Keith McIlveen, because he usually works with the feds. He's a private audio expert guy, but like just all this sort of the times that like Georgia has talked about him, she's referred to him as this in a way that would lead one to believe that he, people have openly talked about how he's worked with like CIA and stuff like that, but like, I don't know. There's just something really interesting about that guy, especially being involved in the cases, the earlier stuff as well.
I didn't really look into him so much, but is he the one that did the audio? Just sharpened up the audio.
Yeah, he sort of cleaned up the audio at God, I'm trying to remember. It's the Matt Suri, and then there's the other one where it's Katie and Charlie talking in a restaurant, and it was like terrible audio. They couldn't. Yeah,
the Dolce Vita. He might be like a contractor and work for, because they'll never say he works for the CIA.
Yeah, he's definitely a contractor. Yeah.
Yeah. So like even like people work for the CIA, like Edward Snowden. He worked for the CIA, but he was Booz Allen Hamilton. Like he
Right.
worked for a contractor for them. They'll never say they work directly for the CIA ever.
Yep. Yep.
And so I think that like that's probably his job altogether, doing audio stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know why he wasn't on the case earlier.
Yeah, it's interesting. Just start thinking about it. I did like a short video about him like a long time ago, and yeah, he's just like a really interesting dude. I think I don't really know what it is about him, but just the fact that he got referred to them from the feds just is interesting. And Debbie Martin mentioning like not May 5th. I was thinking that too. Like there must be something symbolic about them indicting the
Latin Kings on Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah,
like, come on, what are you trying to say?
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah.
Omar Little's kind of another good question about like what evidence do you think they might be holding for a Wendy trial, and it'd be interesting just to hear your thoughts on that if you want to get into it.
I think they have all her Google searches. I think they have her burner phone. I have a it might not be solid, but I think I know what the burner number is, and I think it called Sigfredo's regular number at 12:17 on the day it happened. Because Wendy didn't use the phone for like 10:45 or like 10:30 to like 12, almost 12:30. But right before the call, she made a call to, there was some guy she was talking to. She was on the, I think that when she got home, she switched phones and called Sigfredo's phone to see if it actually was done. Because at 12, I think she did that at 12:17, and then at 12:30 she was seen at the house. Remember? Okay, so in the call records, it shows that for July 18th. I think they have all of her locations for all of June, all of July. And let me tell you something about burner phones.
Yeah.
If you don't know what you're doing, they're worse than just having a regular phone. And I say that because when people who you want to dip their toes in on the other side, they will get a burner phone. Like, oh, I can just have this and I'll be good. No, they don't look at subscriber information when they do tower dumps. When you have your regular phone and they do a tower dump, it's all the numbers. And when you bought that burner phone, you had your regular phone. And they have the tower dump when you bought the phone, you didn't turn the phone on yet, but when you turn the phone on, you have your regular phone right next to it. And then they can just run an algorithm to see when you're using the phone versus when you're using the other phone and the locations. And they'll be alternating because you can't do both at the same time. Like,
yep.
It doesn't work that way. So and people will go on a burner phone and talk reckless, okay?
Yep.
And then they're caught up. You see what I mean? So
yeah, I'm really glad you got into that because I saw it was like in a comment on in the latest video. And are you still thinking about maybe making a video about that, or at least part of a video?
Yeah, explaining burners. Yeah, of course. Because people think that burners is untraceable. If you just get a flip phone, that it doesn't hold a lot of data like a smartphone. But I don't think Wendy used a flip phone. She used a whole smartphone and has WhatsApp on it.
Right.
So yeah,
and even like state agencies are very comfortable doing tower dumps. It's like, I mean, if it's a big enough case, they're not going to do it in small potatoes. But I mean, it's not something that like only the feds do.
Yeah, and then people use burner phones thinking that they're good, but you have to be talking on someone on the other end, and they might not be on a burner phone.
Right. So yeah, it's you need end-to-end encryption. In other words, yeah.
And then if you're using WhatsApp and that person is saving their WhatsApp messages to the iCloud, like Charlie, like Katie, I showed y'all in part 4. These people are not as clever as you think. They really aren't. If there was another person that's been through the ringer a little bit, who is really into this case, they'll tell you the same thing. These people are not. They really thought they got away with it, but like there's no way. They're just sloppy altogether.
One other thing, I don't know if it came up. I don't think we've.
I didn't even answer the question.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
oh,
sorry.
yeah, the burner phone. I went off on a tangent. As soon as I hear burner phone, I go off.
Yeah.
All right. So burner phone, her Google searches, her location. I think
This is all
that
for Wendy's trial, what they're holding
when
back.
yep.
Yep.
Google searches, Facebook history. I
Mm,
think she looked up Sigfredo on Facebook and messaged him. I strongly think that.
mm.
And then they got in touch that way because she could have got Kitty's information from Facebook just by looking it up, and Sigfredo's number was in Facebook.
Hmm. One thing that I don't think I've ever asked you about, like, I was just curious about your process in terms of this. In one of the earlier installments of Wendy's Television, you got into like the the different iterations of the WhatsApp, like in all the different colors and stuff like that. Like, where did you learn to do that sort of shit? That's like blows my mind.
Like learn to. What do you
To like
mean?
to like date like the version of an app by like like the color set, like coding cells and all that sort of stuff. I mean, it's just like
Oh, well, first I've been using WhatsApp since it first came out, pretty
okay,
much, and so I noticed the changes over time,
right.
and I know like the background that specific color, and I do graphic design, so all I had to do is go on a program and see the color, and then go to the trial and see that screenshot and match them, and they're only like 2 shades apart because it's been screenshotted,
Yep.
and so that was it. I was almost certain just that little part right there. I knew I seen that before at the top.
Yeah, that's such an interesting, like, I would have just never thought of that because I've tried to use WhatsApp and I find it like almost like the interface is like deliberately confusing or something like that. I don't really know how to explain it, but I was just like, it was like when I tried, like, after I just like tried to install TikTok just to like try to, and it's just like, fuck this thing. It's like such a pain in the ass, you know?
I never really used TikTok.
Yeah.
But like WhatsApp, like I've been on a WhatsApp for a long time.
Yeah.
But
I
there's
think
a
there's a,
lot that for Wendy that it's gonna
mm.
be a mess.
So you were saying that there's like 34 federal agents on Donna's witness list.
Yeah,
And I wonder, like, how many of those are related to like her arrest? Was there feds there? Do you know that?
yeah, they're all feds. Like
Okay.
the only people that were police were uniformed police. Every guy that's middle aged looking with track like jeans, t-shirt, track jacket, federal.
Mm.
If you see boot cut jeans, t-shirt with the track jacket and jeans and running shoes, 9 times out of 10, it's an undercover. Like, I'm sorry. If you see boot cut jeans, they have to have the ankle gun,
Ah,
and
yep.
so it's you can see them. I might do a thing on Donna's like that body cam footage and
Yeah.
point out who's a federal agent,
That would be
because
awesome.
yeah, it's like when you know what to look for. It's like when you see a certain two guys that don't look like they'd be friends in real life, and they're in an airport with no bags, and they don't look like they're going anywhere. Come on, you're a
Yeah.
fed.
One of the things I like was really curious about too is like just I've been trying to think like how Donna's trial is going to go, and I can't like visualize it because it just seems so like such a wild card. Like, I don't know, what do you like? How do you handicap the chances of her like getting convicted just to start? I guess.
I think she's definitely gonna get convicted. I don't know how it'll pan out because it's like your cases, this is you're gonna lose. And I'm wondering if they're like each of these people are all like sociopathic. I'm wondering if they're gonna throw Wendy under the bus.
Mm.
I like Charlie. If there's something in it for him, I don't see if there's something in it for him and he doesn't have anything to live for in South Dakota, if no one's in touch with him, he'll probably do it. He'll probably throw him under the bus.
Yeah, it's something that I sort of thought about a lot. Like, but like the cases I think that I get really interested in are just situations because I also follow like weird, cults are another big one. Is
Hmm.
the ones where I really can't understand like the thinking of people, or at least it's so alien to me. And the Adelsons are like that. Like, it's hard for me to even like get in that mindset because it's such like a. But I don't know. They just are like continually a mystery, and Donna especially seems. Well, I don't know. Like the phone calls that she has with Charlie, it's like these people just have no
Self-aware.
internal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. They have no self-awareness, and it's like when Charlie was on the phone with her after he got convicted, and he's running his mouth, and he's hinting at, like, why would you be at the crime scene? All that shit. He's hinting to her, but he can't really say directly, like, she was there. Yeah, she was there. But when
yeah,
he was on the stand, he said she wasn't there, but he knew she was there, and that's why he said it to Donna. And the way he formed it, the way he would form his complaints, like, he was speaking like, oh, and Georgia Cappleman said this, and y'all this, and you know what I mean? But he's telling us how he feels by narrating what we saw on TV. And I thought it was really wild how Donna's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. But they both know the truth. So how would this look like in normal life?
hmm,
Everything is you complain about everybody, but you can't look at yourself and say, you know what, we shouldn't have done that shit. But at the same token, they're not saying I had nothing to do with that shit. That's what you would say on the phone if that was really the case.
hmm.
And I don't know. I think these people, like, their ego just got ahead of them, and they organized this hit, and it was like they thought it would never happen to us. It would never
Yeah,
be caught. We got some buenos from the hood to go do this. It's like
hmm.
we're not connected to them. Those mere those peasants over there in the hood, you know. And then the illiterate one's smarter than everyone. The
Yeah,
irony.
that's. Oh, that actually kind of brings me back to one thing I wanted to follow up on, if you don't mind. Like when when in the proffer session, Luis talks about how like he said at some point to Sigfredo, like, we should just turn back. This is a bad sign. And then when I was
Mhm.
thinking about that at that point, and I don't know if you touched on this, I don't think you touched on this on the vid, but it came up when I was sort of watching it again. Is like Sigfredo knew that he had been pulled over before that, and still, I believe, hadn't told Luis. So it's like there's something like, I don't know, like Sigfredo just. I can't, it's hard. I don't know. It's weird for me that like he wouldn't volunteer that information. I don't know. Maybe he would have. I don't know. What do you?
I don't know. I have a feeling that he just wanted to do this for Katie so
Yeah.
bad to win her back. And it's like, I'm not going to tell Luis the extra risk because he won't come to Tallahassee with me.
Yeah.
And they alluded to another guy driving up to Tallahassee before Luis went, and they talked about but Luis talked about how Sigfredo, with no maps, no GPS, knew exactly how to get everywhere.
Right.
He was up there before. That's another reason why I say that he's been in touch with Wendy. Like, why how would he know when to go up there?
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a follow-up question from Kathy Prosser asking if you think the state also has like WhatsApp stuff linking Wendy to Katie and Sigfredo, or like, just curious, I guess, about how far that link goes in terms of the WhatsApp stuff.
You got to give me the time so I can put up on the
Oh, I'm
screen.
sorry. 108. Oh,
It's
it
all good.
was
I got
11
it.
minutes ago. 11 minutes ago. Oh, I think you're 4 hours ahead, so it'll be 5:08, I think.
Yeah, I'm East Coast.
Yep.
By Kathy.
Yeah, Kathy Prosser.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, there you go.
No, I don't think Sigfredo had WhatsApp. I think
Okay.
Sigfredo was like just using flip phones.
And
Um,
I'm sorry. I also noticed that you use like that some sort of mind map software that I think we touched on before. And like
yeah.
when you zoomed out, there was like all these like timestamps. I wonder like how elaborate that thing is. Do you mind talking a little bit about that, or
What the mind map for?
for like the communications grid, like between it was like about 15 minutes into the latest video, you're talking about like who's talking to who, and there's this thing with like all the faces of like Charlie, Wendy,
Mhm.
Sigfredo, and then it has like different colored lines, and I'm just curious, like if that's a resource that you use, or
I use it to show
okay.
to make my point. Like, I remember when you were talking to Noah and she was talking about using mind maps to to outline what she's talking about, right? I use it in the other way. Like I figured this out in my head, and
Right.
to show you, I make a mind map so it's easy for you to reference.
Right.
Like I do it that way. I have it all in my head, and then it's like, okay, I just make a mind map and change up the spreadsheets. Like when I read the call log, I can already like figure out like these are a certain tandem of calls, but for you to see it, I make the extra,
Mm.
you know, extra columns so it makes more sense.
Yeah, and that's sort of what I was thinking, but I was just always kind of curious, and I think that's like one of the reasons why I'm so fascinated by your videos is because I just have, it's such a different process where I like write everything down and like make outlines, and it's just interesting to me that like I wonder like I noticed you like mentioned something about Wendy's Television Part 8 earlier, and so I'm just like about one of the other things I'm curious about is like what extent like you have sort of like it visualized in terms of like the length of the series, like how many, where it might end up, or 'cause it seems like
Yeah,
you kind of have
I
like
don't,
through lines.
I don't. When I make a video, I have like the clips in my head that I want to use, like that connect the dots for me, and then I go back and I put them in succession. But I don't like write a script. Like
Right.
that's why it takes me so long to make one, because I have to make the I have it in my head, but I think in images, not in words. So it's like I have everything there, and then I have to go back and write it out in words later.
Yeah.
And then so all the visual is there first, but there's no script. But
Wow.
but when it comes to like figuring out how many parts it'll be, initially I thought it would just be 7, but then when 7 was going over 20 minutes, I'm like, okay, I have to do a part 8.
Yeah.
So I start working on that, because I was taking a long time to just do 20 minutes, but I have it all in my head, like the visual of everything in my head, and then I kind of jot down the video, like the timestamp of where I saw something, and then I figure it out. It's weird. It's like I don't really think of these things in categories. I'll watch a video, I'll watch another video, I'll watch a live stream, and all these little pieces of information. I get the source information, and it just sorts out in my head, and I'm like, okay,
Mm.
this is what happened. So
Yeah.
it's like when people like when it comes to like formulating this theory, I'm formulating it from like A to Z, like the beginning. But in reality, like I've learned like um L N Min O P A B C Z Y X W V U T S R Q P. You see what I mean? Like it's like that. It just can
Yeah.
be any direction, but then when I formulate it in a video, it goes in the direction it's supposed to go, but the way I figure it out, it's all scrambled up until I sort it out in my head.
Mm.
That's
Yeah.
the best way I can explain it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just really interesting, sort of like watching the series and just trying to sort of reverse engineer it, because I think like I don't know, one of the interesting things about like really started getting familiar with your work for me is like it's like the way that you described it is it's like we have the opposite process, because I start with like the script and then build the
Hmm.
visuals, and
Yeah.
so yeah, that's just one thing. And I don't know if you want to hit up a few questions in the chat. I guess we're over an hour in,
No.
so I know.
Yeah. No. I'm good. I got like another like 30 minutes.
Okay, great.
Um. But yeah. My I want to do like a script first, but it just doesn't work that way for me. It
Yeah.
doesn't. Like the end product is a lot better if I do it the way I've been comfortable doing it. But if I have a script and then I match the visual to the script, it might be quicker, but it just doesn't. I end up having to rewrite the script.
Right.
Um, so yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You're sort of like translating. You're trying to like find like a way to like add sort of context to like what you're seeing in your head in terms of something that will help the reader follow you. And but one thing that I do notice is like people comment on your thing like about how many times they watch it, and I guess that's probably good for the view count. But I feel that too. It's just really interesting. Like, but I feel like I get like extra stuff from watching them multiple times, definitely. So
Yeah, my girlfriend was saying that that it's a lot of information to absorb on the first pass. On You can't just watch it once and then you have to go back. And I noticed that like when I look at my analytics, I think like 55% of the people who watch my videos are subscribers, and then the rest are not.
wow.
But I'll get like 4,000 views, but only like 800 individual people sometimes, or yeah. So like people have on average are watching it 3 times,
That's
pretty much.
insane.
It's
I
crazy,
mean,
right?
yeah, because like I'm not like super familiar, but like usually like it's like 10%, maybe like 20% are actual subscribers. I mean, that's even pretty high, probably. Usually, it depends on the channel, of course, but like
Yeah.
that must be like off the charts in terms of yeah,
It's
yeah,
flattering. Like I noticed like if once I get after a few days, the comments will stop. I answer as many comments as I can,
yeah.
you know. And then I'll notice the comments stop, but the views keep going up. And then when I'll see the analytics for I can tell like, oh, these are people, because it'll tell you how many unique visitors watched it, and it's usually like, excuse me, it's really like a third of the people. It'll be like 800 people or something, and it'll get like 4,000 views.
Hmm.
So people are watching it over and over again, and I don't. That's what I want. I want every minute that you're watching my video, there's something in there to take away from it.
Hmm.
You know, I don't want to waste your time, and because I watch other people's stuff, and then they'll talk about things, and I sometimes I'm like, where did they get that from, or why
Hmm.
do they think that? And I don't know, but I use the people that are actually on the screen to tell you what resonated with me, and then I'll chime in,
Hmm.
you know? And so I take what someone said, so there's no debate on what this person said, and then the next person, if I'm taking an FBI agent and Luis Rivera and I'm putting them next to each other they're actually the ones narrating the video. I'm just chiming in, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, and especially like just a number of scenes where you just have like great visuals. The beginning of the video too, just the face morphs, like it sort of sets like a great thematic thing to it. And yeah, I mean, just had like a really interesting, unique vision as a filmmaker, and sort of makes me curious. Like if I know that you released like a short about Ray Rivera's case. I think you're planning
Mhm.
on maybe covering that. But is there anything else that you're thinking about covering in the future besides these two cases? Or
Um, well, after I do Wendy's television, I might do some videos that just analyze the proffer, where I'm going over the whole thing. Like
Hmm.
the video might be a couple hours, but it'll there won't be any like debate on what I think about everything that's said. And you at your leisure, you can go, watch it,
Luis's proffer?
like things like that, like Luis's
Yeah,
proffer.
could be a good live stream maybe if you just live streamed it.
Yeah,
Anyway.
it probably would. Um, but sometimes like when I watch stuff, like I try to figure out the words I want to say, and it takes too long. So maybe I just, I'll watch it and I'll jot it down, make it a lot smoother. Um, but with aside from the Adelsons, Ray Rivera, um, that's why I'm editing video. I got into editing videos. I posted something on my what is it called? The where you post like your community page.
Yeah,
Um,
community.
yeah, that's that case.
Yeah.
That's it. That is I don't know how to say this without like sounding subjective, but like really it's like really my definitive work of art.
Hmm.
Like of all the type of art I do, from painting pictures, from graphic design to designing clothes, all the things that I do that most of y'all don't even know about, it's like this is it. Like if this was my definitive work, it's I solved a cold case just by watching an Unsolved Mysteries episode, which sounds crazy, but it's when I showed some of my friends, because I told them, I was like, like, because when this happened in Baltimore. When I lived at the time in Baltimore County, and I'm not from Baltimore County, I'm from another county, but I lived in Baltimore County, and one of my friends was like, "Did you hear someone jumped off the Belvedere?" And I'm
Mm.
like, "What?" And
This is back in
it
like
sounded
2004, right?
2006,
Okay,
and
sorry.
I was like, No," but we never spoke about it again, because something like that, you clearly would think it's that person. That's what that person wanted to do. Um, but when the Unsolved Mysteries episode came out, my girlfriend was like, there's this thing that happened in Baltimore. It's on Unsolved Mysteries. You should watch it." So I put on Netflix. I watched it, and I remembered it from. I'm like, "Oh, I remember hearing about this." And then I'm watching the episode. I'm like,
Hmm.
like, I'm looking at it. I'm like, this is a cover up. And I
Yeah.
noticed that from. This is gonna sound wild, but when I watch it, and when I see people standing in a specific scene, and it's not a reenactment, it's when they're looking for Ray Rivera. I hope y'all know about this case, but
Yeah. Maybe we could.
I'm what, yeah,
Go ahead.
I was watching it, and I'm looking, and then I fast forwarded a little bit, and I see another scene that was taken. I'm like, this happened the same day. Why are they acting like this happened on opposite ends of the week? This is the same day within 1 hour, because I'm looking at the sun. I know where they are in Baltimore City. They're 100 yards away from each other, the two different
Wow.
scenes, but their shadow that bounces off of them is 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock. And I'm like, and I knew right then when I saw it, I was like, oh, I got this. I have a kind of a skill set when it comes to like geometrical stuff, where I
Yeah.
can look and I can tell you what time it is,
I would never notice that, man. That's so
Yeah.
crazy.
And so it started from that, and then
Do we want
a
to sort of
few other.
unpack like what the case is about? Just like a really quick
Okay.
description of it, or
Okay. So Ray Rivera he was a world-class water polo player, grew up in Florida. He's of Puerto Rican descent. He was born in Spain. He's a dual citizen. He was almost on the U.S. Olympic team, but he got cut right before the Olympics because he got in an argument with his coach.
Hmm.
He taught Spanish and in California, and he taught English in Spain as well. He grew up with a kid named Porter Stansberry, who ended up owning this financial newsletter company. And it was a bunch of them. They would sell penny stocks. Like, everyone knows who they are. They used to do penny stocks on email and stuff. They used to do email newsletters. But Ray went to go work for him in 2004, and then he was in 2006. He got a phone call, like it was an emergency. He runs out the house. He goes to this place called the Belvedere Hotel, and the Belvedere Hotel isn't a hotel anymore. It's all condos, and then like there's a floor of offices, right? So, and they do weddings and stuff like that. They have like those big wedding rooms. They have that. That's what they're known for. And supposedly he jumped off the roof of this building, which sounds crazy.
yeah.
And they don't say how he got to the roof. They don't say anything like that. If you've seen the Unsolved Mysteries reboot on Netflix, it's episode 1, season 1. It's titled Mystery on the Rooftop.
It's a great watch. Yeah.
When I watched it, first of all, I have commercial roofing experience. And when I saw that shit, I'm like, there's no way he was on that shit. He was on that roof.
Yeah,
And
the Belvedere is like a really old. It's like I think like 19th century, like very ornate, giant hotel, right, with like a
yeah,
weird roof.
it was built in 1903. The roof was garbage.
Yeah,
But like they say he got up to the roof and he jumped down, and there's a lower roof area that belongs to the Belvedere, and he went through that lower roof and hit the floor. Instantly died. But it's been as like, is it self-inflicted, or is it a homicide? It's like a flip of the coin, but that's not how it works. You don't know the circumstances of how this happened. And it
Hmm.
it's a good idea, like, because I think like a week and a half, I'll have this done. Because I
Hmm.
did the whole visual. I'm just like halfway through the script of it, and I really, I really like took apart this case, not just from the Unsolved Mysteries episode, but there's a woman that lived at that building that wrote a book about it,
Oh,
and
interesting.
she in Unsolved Mysteries learned about that case from that book. And so I take parts of that book, compare them to the Unsolved Mysteries episode, tell you the discrepancies, then go into the open source information, say, no, this is what happened. This is who
Hmm.
was there. This is what's going on. And you can figure it out. It's really, it's, it's, it's like when people say it's a conspiracy theory, like it's not like when people say conspiracy theory, that sounds dismissive to me. It's, it's a conspiracy. It's
Yeah.
bananas. It's financial crime. I go back, bro. I go back. I'm showing you forgeries on mortgage applications. I'm showing you um what else am I showing you?
Yeah, that's a very serious. I mean, that can be punishable by like a huge bid for
Yep.
something. Yeah.
Forgeries on companies being opened. I've got companies that are opened in Panama, in
Hmm.
Malta, offshore accounts. I'm connecting all these people to all this shit to one transaction that happened in 2004.
Hmm.
And they were, this is theorizing here, but it's no, it's for real. Like they were using him. I'm not going to go all that far into it, but they were using him for a reason. They wanted
Yeah.
him to work for this company, not for what he could do, but the information they could use from him. And they made it like he went crazy and he was writing a letter to the Freemasons or some shit like that. Like it's I don't have the words for it. It's really like
The
uh,
impression that I got from just looking at it a little bit is it seems like a mystery novel because it has these classic red herrings and these characters like the Porter Stansbury guy seems like a
mhm.
classic like boiler room stock dude, and the fact that he and like all of his employees like didn't talk at all. There's just so many suggestive things, and yeah, it's
It's
one of the
crazy.
wilder cases I've come across. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very wild case. But I noticed that there's no content prior to the Unsolved Mysteries episode. And
It's
this
really
happened in
interesting.
2006. I'm like,
Yeah,
where
that's
there's no
weird.
content? Yeah. And I'm like, maybe they didn't want to do anything
Yeah.
because they're all a part of it. And that's what it is.
And then when
And
that woman wrote the book, I don't know, for whatever reason, maybe I don't. True Crime Wifey had a couple interesting comments. Always a great commenter.
mhm,
She earlier she was like mentioning, that she thought that like maybe Ray got thrown out of a plane. I don't know. Uh,
no, nah. Which one?
the timing
Okay.
on that seems a little bit because like he ran out. One of the craziest things about it is the setup where, and even that's like I don't know. He supposedly runs out of his house and like I don't know. What are your thoughts
Yeah, I
on that?
mean, Ray was thrown out of a helicopter or plane. That's what at least I believe. You know what? I I can understand that,
Yeah.
but I have a thing for helicopters, and a helicopter runs on jet engines. It's two jet engines, and then it's a rotor, and that's how it spins so fast because it's just a big gear shift that uses the same engine that you would hear an airplane. That's why you hear before the rotors start going, it sounds like an airplane taking off. Now, when an airplane, a rotary aircraft is like what a helicopter is called. It produces strong lift by
Yeah.
forcing the air down. If you look at the Belvedere, it's shaped like a U. If you put a helicopter
Yeah.
above that, the wind will bounce back up and knock the helicopter over.
You get like rotor wash or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's
it
not a
will
great spot for a helicopter, but
no. So like not only that people would have heard it, people would have definitely seen it
yeah.
even at night, and they and the helicopter couldn't balance itself at that altitude or even like 50 feet above it because the air would just it would go down and it will spiral back up.
Yeah.
That's why you see helicopter pads on buildings that are just like rectangular in the center. It's like that. It doesn't have an opening because the air would shoot back up.
Right.
And when people say it's like
really
physically impossible for certain things, buckle up. That's all I gotta say. I was a roofer for a little bit. I fell through a roof myself. And I have the video. So
That's crazy.
I don't have a video of me falling through the roof, but after I fell through the roof, I went back down and I took a video of the hole. And it's just like Ray Rivera.
Which would sort of indicate that it probably was for like a much shorter fall. One of the things about that case that's so puzzling is like when you really get into it, you almost like can't trust like anything. So it's like, did he really run out of his house? Or like one of the things that really set me down this path is like everybody describing how they were like looking for Ray right away, but then he wasn't found for like 6 days. And so it's like trying to reconstruct something after it's been there's been that sort of gap.
Mm-hmm.
Just makes everything such a giant question mark, you know?
Right. When you see my documentary and I show you what day and exact time that all that footage of them looking for him, you'll know there's a problem. If I can show you without a doubt that when they said they found his car on found his body on May 24th, this is on Unsolved Mysteries, and found his car on May 22nd, I can show you by what they show that it was May 23rd. I can show you by the sun angle of the sun, the time it is, and a newspaper on the show, what day it is. And then the whole timeline's fucked up because you can't say it's May 22nd and you're wearing a black shirt, and then you say it's May 23rd and you're wearing the same outfit and everyone else is. And then the newspaper lines up to the Baltimore Sun on May 23rd. Listen, I got this one.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it because the case is like such a jumbled mess in my mind right now, you know?
It's a mess, but it sounds crazy. But when my girlfriend first told me about it and I watched it, I knew I was seeing something that was not lining up with what they were saying. I knew it. I just didn't know exactly what it was. And I watched it like 5 times in a row. And I'm like, then I right then and there, I saw 2 different scenes that were that they say take place on different days that actually took place 1 hour after the other. But the event that happened after could not have happened based on the timeline.
Right.
Because they found his body at noon, they say on the 24th, and they found his car on the 22nd, but on the 23rd at 4:00 p.m., you're looking for his car.
Yeah, and the other thing too is like, wasn't the car, like location of the car fairly close to the hotel, or am I missing?
Yes. It's literally like they don't even talk about the parking garage. The parking lot right next to it, it's a private lot. No one's going to park there because if you leave your car there, they'll put a boot on it and it'll cost you $1 zillion. And anybody who's been in Baltimore 10 minutes would know that. And they show the ticket for when they found the car. It's going to be accurate. They're going to know where they got the ticket. The address is going to be on the ticket. But the problem is they have a city ticket on a private lot. A private lot doesn't give out tickets. They just put a boot on your car and tow it in the next day. So there's no way it would be there for that long. So it has a ticket that's on the street for 1012 North Charles Street. That specific lot is 1012 St. Paul Street. North Charles Street is one-way street northbound. St. Paul Street is one-way street southbound. The only way you can get from one side to the other is going through the Belvedere parking garage. So,
wow. So do you think that they parked it, got a ticket, and then moved it or something like that? Or
they got a ticket. They moved it into the garage, let it sit there, then waited like a week, and then brought it out and acted like they found it. And I can tell you because I'll just say it now. The 2001 Mitsubishi Montero had a recall because it had a crazy oil leak. It would leak crazy amounts of oil. And what happened was the oil, it rained 3 days out of that week. There's oil going up into the tire tread of that car. So the oil came down for that many days outside of the elements of the weather because it was in the parking garage, and
Jesus
its
Christ.
oil seeped up into the tread. So when they took a picture up for the show, you can see the oil in the tread.
Wow.
I told you I got this. And
Yeah.
so, and I have a picture of the Mitsubishi Montero before all of this happened. And not only that, I can tell you it happened. They took the picture at Allison's parents' house because I identify her house from the reflection of the side passenger mirror. The side windows, the passenger in the back seat, the reflection of Allison's parents' house in Colorado. I matched the windows up and show you where it's parallel parked in front of. So well before the car was in Maryland, it had an oil leak right in front of his wife's parents' house. Like, I'm not playing, bro. Like, it's I did the work on this.
How long do you
It's
think the
two and
doc
a
is going
half,
to be?
two and
Okay.
a half hours.
Jesus.
With the type of information that you see in the Wendy's television videos, it's
Yeah.
like that the whole way through. It's just piece of information. The mind map. The mind map is probably 12 times bigger than the one that you see on Wendy's television. It's just names, dates, properties, transactions, companies, everything. PDF format. I'm not playing with you. I'm not doing this to just to like make up a conspiracy theory. Like, I really got this. I'm from the area. I know kind of who these people are, and to keep it real with you, they know who I am because they hit me up a few times. Because
Oh, wow.
I put out a video that took like maybe 15% of the information that I got. I put it on YouTube because I knew that they would react to it, and then they sent me a message. It only had 800 views. 800 views.
Wow.
They know this is happening.
Yeah. Do you have like am I right that you have a short up right now? Because I thought you put out a trailer for it or something, right?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. The stuff I've seen so far is like really incredible, but it's like, yeah.
it's wild. I mean, it's on my channel. You know, it's the
Revenge.
documentary is called Revenge, and so just by the title, it's not a self-inflicted death. It's just it's telling you what's going on.
Mm.
I mean, I do everything from time stamping from the Sun, time stamping from newspapers, showing you communications by the types of phones that they're using. That's very rogue and fringe, like satellite telephones, shit like that. I'm showing you. I'm doing signature analysis on it, on forgeries. I'm doing what else? I got real estate transactions. I have trajectory analysis, because we're going to go
Oh,
there.
yeah.
And I know what the roof is made out of, and I got this.
Yeah. It's like one of those cases like that. I definitely see like why you sort of had like a weird feeling about it, and I definitely happens to me too. And it's like sometimes hard to intuit like exactly what's bothering you. So that's just really interesting, like hearing a little bit more about the genesis of you.
It's really, I wanted to put that into the documentary, but I thought like it's just better if I just go straight up and tell you what's going on. Like, I don't mind talking about it here, but when I first saw that on Unsolved Mysteries, I literally couldn't sleep. I knew I was seeing something that was just essentially just wrong. It was,
Mm.
it really was. I could tell you, like, after a week of understanding the case, reading into that book, and I went, instead of like reading the book, because it talks about other unexplained deaths, I just did like Control F on a Mac, like, Command F, and it
Mhm.
just put in the names, and I would just go through and read the things that they're saying, and then I noticed the pattern and how these people are talking about people, and I'm like, the way that they make people anonymous by telling you who they are with the relationship that they're in. They say like such and such's fiance or such and such's wife, but such and such's wife sat next to Ray in the office. Like, well, why are you doing that?
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
you have to like
bad,
kind
man.
of have a real command of all of the details. Has
I,
there
I
ever been like
really
a book written specifically about that case, other than I guess there's the one by the woman that lived in the area? I guess.
no,
Yeah,
no. Like
I've
I
never heard
really,
of it before. You mentioned it, and it's like, my God, this is just a. It should have a lot more coverage. Hopefully, your
yeah,
documentary blows up because it's a brilliantly like weird case. It's still bending my mind, after months. So
yeah. It's see, like this comment here, true crime wifey. This is
yeah.
what I live for. I love this. It's not physically possible. And there was another woman that wrote a book. Her name is Miriam Moya. She's from Spain. She's Spanish. She wrote a book about this, and I went through that book, and it's like, oh, y'all are some horrible people. She's a forensic analyst. She does like car accident reconstruction and stuff like that. And she was just like, "Es físicamente imposible." I'm like, yeah, it's physically possible. It's not
Mm,
like she said that on one of her live streams. I'm like, nope. It's physically like people. She says like it's impossible to fall through that roof. I fell through a roof made out of the same material by standing on it. He got the injuries from hitting the cement at the on the floor, not going through that. Um, not by going through the lower roof. That he didn't get the bulk of his injuries through that, but the way that they analyze it, and I'm not going to go too far into this now, but like they said, oh, he has to, like, this person has to run this fast to get to this distance to jump that make that lateral jump. That's not how physics works. Like, if you say someone's running on a roof and they're doing the long jump, this is what like they're proposing here. If you're running doing the long jump, you run and then you jump in the sand, right? But if you're running on sand and jumping on the solid ground, would you get the same result? No.
mm, yeah.
It's Newton's third law of motion, action and reaction. So if the roof is wobbly, you're not going to be able to run and to get that jump. Running is literally lateral jumps, short lateral jumps. But people can jump from a stationary spot if they push off the wall. People push off on when they're running track. They have the starter blocks. In swimming, they have that little diving board they jump off of. They get lateral velocity off of that from a stationary position. And it's like, but no one's thought of that.
Mm,
And it's like you can't say how fast someone needs to go to jump when people run different speeds. Ray 6'5", 260, all muscle, water polo player, former swimmer. He can move.
yeah.
And so, but the thing is he wasn't running because he wasn't
Mm,
in a place to run from, which you'll see that in the documentary. But it's not like you don't do point A, B, then C. You go C, B to A. Just like if a bullet went through the wall, you do a trajectory analysis by the damage of the wall. The damage of the bullet can tell you where it came through the wall. The damage to the wall to tell you the path it came from. They don't do that,
right.
but I do.
Yeah, there's something really weird about the way that it's set up in, I guess, most of the accounts that I've seen, where it's like they offer, I think, like three different possibilities. Like he could have done this, and he could jump from this part of the roof, jump from this part of the roof, or like some
Yeah.
other the parking garage. And it's like the thing that I picked up on pretty quickly was like it's like one of these scenarios. It's like very suggestive, where they just frame it in a certain way to like make you think. I don't know.
I know what you mean, and I don't have the words for it, but it's like they make you think that he was running from somebody. Like, this is a 6'5", 260-pound Puerto Rican, all muscle, world-class athlete, water polo player. Who the fuck is he running from?
Hmm.
You know how I know? Because have you seen a 5'6", 165-pound Puerto Rican run from anybody? No, it doesn't work that way. I'm sorry, you got to use your common sense. Like,
Yeah.
that man's going to fight you tooth and nail. Not happening.
Yeah, especially on a rooftop where there's no quarter, it's like it just a lot of stuff about it just doesn't compute,
Man, that roof is pitch black, yo. That roof is pitch black. There are not that many buildings taller than it nearby to put enough light on it. And that roof is weak.
It's such a it like almost looks like a gothic spiral or something. It's just a really
Yeah.
weird looking building that has like I guess you call it like a mansard roof where it's like a flat roof on top with
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
curved
Yeah.
edges. It's very
Yeah.
old school.
That roof is garbage. And they actually redid it fairly recently, but there's more to that roof. I'm telling you from a former roofer perspective that will tell you that they didn't keep that roof up until maybe 10 years ago. Like it instead of like normally on a commercial roof, you would tear off the old roof and then replace the whole roof. On a big roof like that, you might do 10 square feet, tear off, replace by the end of the day. And you don't need, like, people see like torches and tar. That's old school. Like now it's like you take those types of roofs off and you put roofing insulation, glue, and then what's called TPO, or but it's rubber. It's basically a sheet of rubber that goes over on the glue, and there you go. And you do 10 square feet of that, but you can tell that they haven't that they patched it up with anything. Like there's two different types of material onto each other that's glued, tarred on. Like it's really a mess. And then I can show you the parts of the building under it that where the leaks are. Come on, I really did my work on this. Like he wasn't up there. And the way for him to get up to that roof, he would have had to go up to the 13th floor. They actually have a 13th floor, go through the bar. I've been at this building before. I know this shit. So like you have to go through the bar, go through by the kitchen, go through that, and there's like 5 steps, and that's the roof. There's no way that this man could go on. If he left at 6:30 to his house, gets there at 7. The Orioles game started at 7:05 that day, a home game. All the bar is packed. You don't go through that, and then a 6'5" Puerto Rican just walk in the back and nothing happens to him. Come on now. Like there's no way you can you walk through any restaurant or any busy bar and just walk into the back?
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm 6'1", 200. Like there's no way. Like they'd be like, who the fuck is that?
Right. Somebody would notice you, and I guess I don't. Yeah, there's just so many weird things about that case that just.
Yeah, like your videos have sometimes.
Yeah, I'm sort of like reticent to go too much farther because I know that you have a timeline, but maybe if you want to.
I got a little timeline. Oh, and then after the Ray Rivera, I went off on a long one on Ray Rivera, but like Lindsay Buziak, you heard of that one?
It sounds familiar, but I can't immediately.
It was in British Columbia.
Oh,
February 2nd, 2008. She was a real estate agent. She got a call about to show a house. She went to show a house and got stabbed up.
I've watched a doc on that. Yeah.
It's not a long documentary. It might be a half hour, but I got some things to add to it. Like I'm not talking about any case unless I have something to contribute that no one else has spoken about, you know? Like, what do you think about Karen Reed?
I've just looked into it a little bit, and it came up in the Markel subreddit the other day, and it's. I think one thing about it that like is interesting to me is like it can show you like how much like a police officer like commenting on a case outside of official channels can like really mess up a prosecution, because it sounds like from what I'm hearing and watched on Shaming of Jay streaming a little bit, like it seems like people think that she might be getting acquitted despite at the beginning of the trial thinking that there's a fairly strong case. But it'd be interesting to hear your thoughts as well.
Yeah, when I watched it and then I looked at the house, I noticed something from the time. I do the sun time thing, and so I looked at the sunset for that day. It was at 5:32. That appointment was at 5:30. Why are you gonna have this girl meet up to do a showing on a house right before it gets dark.
Right.
This is where street smarts come in, because this girl took the, and she was so thirsty for that sale, she didn't even get these people's names. She didn't even get them qualified, and then they're rushing to buy $1 million house.
Is that in the retrial, or are you talking about Buziak still? I'm sorry.
Buziak.
Okay, sorry. I was talking
Sorry.
about Reed.
Oh, my bad. Sorry. All right.
That's okay.
Yeah. So but let me. Okay. So that's the Buziak one. I'll finish that once I get done the Ray one. I think. Yeah. I'll do the Ray first, because not just like y'all know me for the Wendy stuff, but like the people that I are like close to me, they've been watching like what do they call it? Like drafts of the Ray video for almost 3 years now. So like I'm showing them just so like they can tell me what they think. Like, all right, you can expound on this little shit like that. So I have to get this done now. But like get the Ray one done. But all right, Buziak, and then Karen Reed. I don't know.
She's a woman who ran down her husband with a car. That's the allegation, I believe.
Yeah, I being that they're all law enforcement, it makes things a little weird, because like you got one guy is the ATF agent, the victim is a police officer, there are other police officers there. Now, if anybody's familiar with this, because I'm not, and I looked at the injury. Do you see that injury to his arm?
I haven't seen it, no.
Okay. There's like these, there are puncture wounds that go all down his arm, and then they have an abrasion that follows them. And I'm wondering, did someone have like a small truck or a Jeep with a snowplow on it? If anybody that's familiar with this, can y'all answer that for me?
It happened in Canton, Ohio, right? And
no, Massachusetts.
Okay, for some Canton, Massachusetts. Somebody said Canton. I just assumed it was Massachusetts. And it was during the winter, or no? Do you remember? I don't really know the facts that well, so.
It was winter time. It was like right during a blizzard. It started like
right. Okay.
It happened during a blizzard. Like I have, it's like people said it was the bite marks. I think. No, all right. So True Crime Wifey says dog bites under the carriage of car, snow plows all over this case. Okay, I need to know if there was access, not a big snow plow, not the snow plows you see on the city snow plows. I'm talking about the kind that'll be like on a Jeep Wrangler.
Yeah, they get mounted on the front. Yeah.
Yeah, that they'll mount a little one on the front, do their driveway or something. Because I remember when I was roofing once, and we had to move a Jeep Wrangler that had it was a small little plow on the front, right? It might have been that, like just like that. It wasn't nothing crazy. And they moved it, and they had to sit it on the ground. They can't have it up off the ground while it's in park all the time. They sat it on the ground, and when they backed out the driveway, it left these huge scratch marks on the driveway that were just like, it looked like that. And I'm wondering if they had access to something like that. If that was the case, let me just make myself clear, because I know people go in on me with the comments with this. I think she hit him, didn't know it, and he didn't have a coat on or anything, right? He was in t-shirt or whatever. I think he went outside, talked to her. She was just kind of blew him off, did a K-turn or whatever, but hit him, but didn't hit his whole body. Like she hit his arm, and then that gets us off balance because it's snowing, and he hits his head on the pavement. Okay, he hits his head on the pavement. He's out. They don't realize that he's gone for a decent amount of time. He never comes back inside, right? So I think that he came inside. He went inside, like he either was about to go inside and went back outside, or he was inside for some time when Karen pulled up and turned around. Like they talked outside or something. I think that she turned around. She was kind of drunk, turned around, hit him. He hit the pavement. It like the hit wouldn't have killed him just by the back of the car. I think he fell back and hit his head, and that knocked him out. And between hitting his head and the temperature, I think that's what killed him. And I think that the people in the house saw him in the street, not on the lawn part, but in the street, laid out, and were like, what the fuck did we do? Because they don't know how it happened. They just see him laid out in the street. They might think, and remember, these people are drunk. They might think, oh, maybe she hit him, but he's been out here so long, it might be our fault and we can't put it on her. You see what I'm saying? So I think what they did was they took us, if they had a snowplow,
I think there's a couple comments that like the ATF agent had a Jeep with a snowplow on the front end. Yeah.
Okay. All right. If they had a snowplow.
Brian Higgins.
Yeah. Oh, he did? Okay. They lift the snowplow up. They go and they roll him over like this. And that's where you get. Okay. All of those scars on his arm aren't from the car. It's from the bottom of the snowplow. When they lift the snowplow up, put it on him, turn it, and then I think they put him on so they're not really touching him that much. They put him on there and then moved him onto the grass and then put the Jeep back into the driveway and just like started going on their phone like, how long to die in cold? Because they're trying to judge the time he got hit to the time he died. So when the real people come to try to figure out what happened, they can add a timeline to it and it'll add up to their story. But what happened was, this is my theory still, that Karen came back and saw it and saw them outside. And they're like, she's like, I hit him. And they're like, yep. And then it's all on you. That's why he's in the grass like this, because you hit him. And that absolves everyone that moved his body from the street onto the grass.
Wow.
That's my theory. And I don't know much about that case, but I'm going by the injury. And I specifically remember seeing those marks on his arm. I'm like, that car didn't do that. That's something else, because those are deep and they scratch out. And if you're laying, say you're laying on your back, right? And then they're trying to turn you over. They can do that. I'm trying to demonstrate with something. I don't have anything, but like they can take the plow and then like turn you over. You see what I mean?
Sort of like you would with like a fork, like turning over like a bale of hay or something.
There you go. It's just it's the underside of that plow that turn them over, and then they can lift them up, and the plow part go up like this, and then carry him, and then they flop him onto the ground and leave, and put the car back, and the snow piles up, and they don't have the tracks to show that that's what they did. That is a very off the top theory of what I think will happen based on what I know, which isn't much on this case.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to look at I want to take a look at the injury now. And if people don't know, because like I'm obviously from Alaska, so I see snowplows like all the time. Like, and I think some people might, we were talking about this a little bit earlier, but might be thinking about like the ones that are like attached to something like all the time or something like a blade snowplow. But like the ones that we're talking about are mounted on a car and they have to move. They have like a thing that'll allow them to move up and down because like you don't always want them in down mode because that's like when you're driving and plowing actively, but if you're driving like on a highway, you have to have it up. And so it has this ability to move the blades and angles. So it's a little bit more sort of facile or better at like moving stuff than you might ordinarily think based on like a single mounted blade. It's Right. It has like the ability to move up and, do more of that. And I think when you have the car parked, you just let it rest on the ground. So when back a couple of years ago when I was roofing I fell and fucked my arm up. Like
uh, I remember they backed this Jeep out and it scraped the driveway really bad because they didn't lift it up, and that's what made me think about what happened to John O'Keefe.
Oh, and yeah, the other thing I was going to say is like at the bottom of the plow, it's got like rivets, depending on which model, obviously, but that would like account for like the,
Yeah,
you know, the piercing in it, because it like when
those
you
are
do that,
those are
when
screws.
it's too low and you drag backwards, you get this pattern where you see all of these like
Yep.
scrape marks.
Yeah, and if you look at his injury, all of those scrapes, all the puncture wounds are in a line that are basically a straight line,
Mm.
and the direction of the abrasions are all parallel to each other. You can't get that if you're defending yourself from a dog. You're going to be moving around and all that stuff, and they're going to bite wherever they can bite. But all of those puncture wounds are in uniform, and all the scrapes that go back are all parallel. And could you?
I need to look into that case more.
I can't believe they're all in conspiracy together. I don't think it's about a conspiracy. I think it's we don't want to get caught up. She came back. We put it on her. That's all it is. It's not a well thought out thing. It's like, yep, you did this. I think it gets a lot more simple when people are fucked. When the people are fucked up, people just do whatever they got to do to get out of that situation.
Right.
It wasn't a big huddle. They didn't have time to think about that. They're like, oh shit, what the fuck? Are we gonna move him? Or we can't have him in the street. Then we're gonna get in trouble.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move him, and then if he's dead, it'll look like an accident. If she comes back, then we'll just put it on her, and that's what happened.
It would be cool to talk to somebody that knows a lot more about the case, though, because I'm fairly ignorant. So,
like I like the case, but like soon as I saw those like texts between her and that dude, where she texted that dude out of nowhere, it was like, "Oh, you're hot" and shit like that. Yo, those type of women. All right. I'm telling you from a little bit of experience, like those type of women that are like that lead with their sexuality and all that, 9 times out of 10, like they all seem to get DWIs. They all wreck their car. They're horrible drivers. Their screens are cracked on their phone. It's like they're all the same. It's like borderline personality disorder traits. It's like she's using like triangulation. She gets that other guy to piss off the guy she's with, like shit like that. That's childish stuff, but like almost it sounds weird, but like those women always get DWIs and they always wreck their cars.
Definitely seems like some sort of issue with executive function. I mean, I think the same comparison can be made with some dudes, but yeah, I know exactly sort of what you're talking about. Having worked on like hundreds of DUIs, there's a certain pattern in terms of
when they're oh man, like all the like, and they always get like in the wrecks like within like 2 miles of their house. It's like but Karen Reed, like True Crime Wife, he said, it's a shit. Yeah, it is. It's like the reading the text messages. I'm like, oh, this is I don't think it's like no one's that man. All right, the dude she was texting, you can look at him and you can tell he's not struggling for no play out here, man. He has no problems out here in these streets. You can look at some dudes and be like, oh, he's multitasking out here, and it's just how it is. And it's like, he's not pressed for it. He doesn't want it that bad to go kill her boyfriend.
Yeah.
Like, no, they're just, I think that this case is a shit show. It's just like the Thug trial. It's just a shit show. But I need to really find a good timeline that I can just read and just probably get a better theory. But that was my theory on that. What other cases are you thinking about?
Man, I've been sort of pretty ambivalent about true crime stuff. I like, it's just, I was talking to you a little bit. Like I worked in criminal law for years. And so I kind of go in cycles. So I'm just like kind of doing some other stuff, like getting really into, I've been write a lot of drafts and stuff. And I've been writing drafts about like, just sort of weird 60s counterculture and music stuff. But I definitely like am going to get back on the true crime grind. I've got like a bunch of videos in progress, but I think I don't know. I'm somebody that like makes like a bunch of stuff at once. So
Oh, okay. Like I'll get obsessed with the case. Like I was obsessed with Ray, and as I was making Ray, I got really into the Markel case, especially during once Charlie got arrested. Like I was up on that case from the time Sigfredo got arrested, but I really took interest in it when I kept seeing Wendy on the stand. I'm like, oh, this is. I
yeah,
started piecing it together in my head of what happened and doing my research, but this was like the Markel thing was like my practice for the Ray Rivera thing. I'm like, okay, if I can tell a story this with this case, I'm pretty sure that I can be effective on the Ray Rivera one, and it's worked so far. But I
yeah,
do like try to do one at a time.
that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I have like a lot of like just because of my process, like you have like a lot of notes, and so I have like for everything, like one thing that I put out, there's probably like 5 or 10 that like I've made
Mhm.
drafts of, but I keep them, and sometimes I come back to them. So it's just I have like this huge archive of like stuff I'm interested in, and it's not like all like a lot of it's like related to like I've mentioned like I did a whole series on like Scientology, and now I'm like totally burnt out on Scientology, and like it's just
Yeah.
that sort of thing, you know. So
Um. Let's see what.
yeah, let's
Let me
clean up some
see.
questions because we're getting
Yeah,
to
yeah.
2 hours. Yep.
Yeah. I want to go through some. I think we're not ignoring y'all.
Yeah, a lot of great comments.
We're not like well practiced in this. Like if we were like, like some people I watch, I'm like, damn, they're going topic to topic, they're staying on point, and we're just like tangent. But
Yeah.
it is like
I think we get some reps. I mean, this one to me has seemed like it's hard to sort of evaluate, but personally, but it just seems like we've sort of stuck on topics a lot better. But anyway, I don't,
yeah. Said you were a roofer graphic. Like you should be some high level detective because you think you. I thank you. I do think of things a lot differently than most people. Um, but I don't have that many options as far as jobs. I have felonies. So just to be straight up, like
Mm.
that's why I'm a graphic designer because I'm creative, but I actually make a living off that. I was a roofer because like they don't really care about your background. You just don't have just make sure you're not scared of heights. And I used to, well, I still do sometimes, but I paint on plywood, and plywood's expensive, and so I would paint on scrap plywood.
Hmm.
I don't have anything here because I'm at my girlfriend's house, but my apartment has every wall is covered with my own art. But next live I'll do it at my house so you can
Yeah, that'd
see.
be really cool. I'd love to see
Yeah.
the sort of the visual art side of it because yeah.
Like my paintings on Instagram, I haven't posted in a while, but it's empty.fortune.cookie.
Okay.
So if y'all care to look at that. But I have a lot of art up there. But I paint large format like 2 by 8, 8 feet. No, my paintings are no smaller than like 2 feet by 2 feet. Like I do large format paintings.
Hmm.
Um
Empty dot fortune dot cookie.
yeah, empty fortune cookie.
Cool. Thanks.
Give the do you think Wendy tells Sigfredo get it done on this day and I'll give you thousands of dollars? What do you think? That's possible.
Hmm.
Like money talks, and I think that they weren't like when the idea was presented on Halloween 2013 and nothing was really going on. I think it's because that Kitty was taking the money and that's why nothing was getting done. So Wendy's sense of urgency has to be shown through her pockets. So I think that's very plausible. I think it's
And,
more than a deposit. Like, please get this done, and you know,
yeah.
we'll let the other stuff go.
It seems like everything sort of comes back to money with them. Like it's, yeah. I always think of Charlie's quote, like, "I don't care what I have to pay." It's like that's sort of like the currency of the realm. It's all about the dollars, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, I was just kind of browsing through a few of the recent posts on your thing, and you got a really great pop visual style. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. But yeah, it's just really interesting to see like what you choose to make. You know.
I didn't understand what you said.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, I think of it like as, yeah, sometimes like it's just like pop visual. Like I think about like sort of like it reminds me of stuff like Andy Warhol and like Robert Rausch or whoever, like in that you sort of recontextualize like pop images into different stuff. That's sort of what I was trying to get
Yeah,
across.
yeah. It's kind of like I think it's called symbolism art.
Yeah.
Like my type of art. Someone asked, they asked me what I do for a living. Right now, I do graphic design. Um, Pretty much, I edit videos for people sometimes, but mainly I do graphic design for like shirts, hoodies, and shit like that. Matter of fact, I gotta check to see what's up with their hoodie on the Wendy's TV logo. I thought I
Okay.
sent that out.
No worries.
I got you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like it's so evident, like in the way that you work, that like you just have like a great eye for graphics, and yeah, that's like why I always like sort of first like thought that like I really wanted to link up with you, is because I just felt like, yeah, there's something interesting in the exchange, you know.
Yeah, I agree. Like when it comes to like if I were to like the conversations we're having, like we're kind of interested in the same things, but we think of things in a much different way, and I think that's what works. I
Yeah,
mean, we also run off on tangents and shit, but we'll get it together.
yeah,
Like
yeah, I like tangents though, but yeah.
I'm all about tangents. Like when um like I watched Jay's channel, and then he had that guy that does like he looks at people's choice of words, and there was another lady, and they were just hitting topic after topic. I'm like, y'all are just staying on point the whole time. Like I'm low key jealous of that. Like
Yeah, he's a pro.
yeah, when you've been doing it a while, you get good. But this is like literally the first one on my channel. I'll do more, but um, I only want to get like do a live if I have something, you know, to talk about that's worth, you know, worth that I think would be worth your time in watching.
Yeah.
Um, Ginger Ginger revealed on YouTube that Sigfredo took that photo. Yeah, no. She said that Charlie took that photo.
Mm.
I thought that it was the front facing camera on Katie's phone. It was Katie's phone, but Charlie took the picture. But Sigfredo definitely wouldn't be there at the same time Charlie was there. But I saw that. I remember that very clearly, that Yindra said that Charlie took that picture. But
That was on
I'll get
Jay's channel, right? Yeah.
yeah. But I'll get into that on Wendy's Television Part 8. You should do more videos on Kate. Oh, what do you mean? Like, because you hold up. Look, at people know. Are you gonna call me by my real name?
Hmm.
Okay.
I,
Okay,
well, I'm
Christina.
sorry, I didn't catch that. I thought that they were just
Yeah.
misinterpreting Grish.
Uh no, it's a backronym of my name.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. You know, it's funny because like I don't ever like I. I don't ever like feel like inquiring about that sort of stuff personally, just because I don't know. I think the sort of air of mystery is pretty cool, and also it's just like I don't know. That's not the point of like what I'm interested about. It's more just about your, you know, our mutual interest in true
Yeah.
crime stuff, and yeah,
Like it's not like I think like when it comes to like why am I doing this way? Because sometimes I talk about things that aren't like I don't know. I think like I talk from a different kind of experience, and it's like it doesn't it doesn't have like a certain benefit for me in what I normally do. That's should I say like
sure.
um when I like things decisions I made when I was a lot younger were were, were out there, and so like what I do now, like I like being I like my autonomy with like the business that I do, and I do pretty well.
Yeah.
And but like I like the doing videos, but I like when people engage with the video based on what I'm talking about and not looking so much into me.
Hmm. That's such an interesting thing because I think these almost the exact same feeling, and that's like why I sort of was always reticent to include much of myself in the videos. It's just because and also I first of all I don't think that you need to justify it, but also I feel like the same exact way. I think it's almost better if the work stands alone, and
Right.
I've been thinking about that a lot because there's a super obscure musician that I've been getting into from the 60s, and he has basically no backstory, and it's like a really interesting effect when you don't know anything about who made it, and it's like you just have to sort of take it on its
Hmm.
own merits, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and that's one thing I learned when I started doing graphic design. Like I I had me and some guys I used to hang out with. We had an inside joke and started putting it on T-shirts, right? And then it got really popular, and so I just invested to make the shirts myself. I got all the equipment, and I started doing them myself, like top notch quality stuff, like out the gate. And when people were asking me for designs, I do that in my head, but I didn't have the skills to show it on the computer. And so I got a MacBook and I started just doing designs. And what I would do was when someone would ask, because I was already printing shirts and stuff like that, when people would ask me, I would say, all right, this is what the designer made, but I would have two designs and one of them will be mine. And then I'm like, so which one do you like? And
Mm.
they don't know which one's mine. And they'd be like, I want that one. And then after like 3 or 4 times, I never used a graphic designer again. And then people for a good while didn't know I was the one designing them. So it
Wow.
was like I just was the guy that was printing. I think people react to creativity in a weird way. Like if I walked up to you and said, "Hey, I do graphic design and shirts. Can I do something?" No, people are gonna say no. But like when people see it on other people, they'll be like, "Where'd you get that?"
Mm. Yep.
And they're like, "Oh, I got it from," and then it goes from there. And
Mm.
that's how it is spread like through word of mouth. But Katrina, do I know you in real life? That's what I want to know.
That's really interesting, man. Wow.
Katrina T. But yeah, my I'm still going through questions.
Yeah.
Let me see.
There's a bunch of good ones in there, and yeah, it's just really interesting to hear your thoughts on that because it's almost something I would do with A and B testing, and it probably also to
Hmm.
validate to myself, it sounds like
Yeah,
you're early in the process of doing graphic design, but yeah, that's something that I definitely
yeah. Like
uh,
it's uh I for the type of art I do, they look really good on shirts, and so because my type of art is flat. I don't have a lot of details, but it symbolizes something, and you'll see it. But it's like, what's going on? It has a very weird effect that just seems to be effective on shirts. And but I paint too on plywood, and that I love doing that.
hmm.
That's like therapy. It's just like sitting and just painting like an 8 foot painting of something. You know, hang on. Let me show you one. Like I did one of a hang on, let's show you.
Using oil or
No, acrylic.
acrylic. Yeah.
See that?
Oh yeah, that's really interesting. It's a very yeah.
You see it's a girl taking a selfie that's like hiding her face.
Yeah, wow.
That's
I really like that kind of stuff that's super high contrast.
yeah, it's just two colors. And it's
Yep.
just a girl taking a selfie. But like
Yeah.
stuff like that. But yeah, that's my thing. But let's see. I'm a visual too graphic artist like you. It's like a video part issues like motion styles. Yep, there you go. And Rabbit, you gotta email me what you were talking about with the phone records. Um, this is the one that you forwarded me, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
they mentioned it earlier in the
Yeah.
chat. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure that you're caught up in the aftermath of that video. So yeah,
Lee
to
says
answer
I can't
comments and
comment
stuff.
unless it's a live. YouTube hates my comments, so I'd love to comment, but YouTube won't. I don't have any blocks on my comments unless you say something crazy.
Yeah, maybe.
Unless you
Well,
say something, I don't think I've deleted a comment. Like I try to address everything that's within reason. I try to reply to it.
yeah, I never like have deleted anything else before until I made videos about Scientology, and I was just like, all right, well, there's a few here that
Mhm.
like are like really wild, so I have to hide them. But yeah, other than that, yeah,
The KDDD explanation. Oh yeah, I like that. Oh man, geez, the comments are flying through. I don't know how people like that are like that. Like someone like Carl Steinbeck with 1600. Like I want to answer everybody as much as I can.
yeah.
Um, I'm still way back. Uh,
Yeah, I've been meaning to watch his latest stream. I haven't got to yet, but he's really fun to watch.
yeah, I like Carl. He's straight to the point. I like him a lot. Um, I mean, we all know the same people. Like it's like almost like an all-star cast of people. It's like a fancy fiction, AE Legal Focus, True Crime Metrics, Murder by Maestro, Roberta Glass, you know what I mean? It's like this, like you see like the same people, and then it's like then you'll see someone new, and it's like, what do what you can't pronounce Meg Banwa? You don't know what
Yeah,
you're talking about.
yeah. One thing I was
I,
gonna like comment on, just like I just wanted to say really quickly, Maria Leahy mentioned that she listens to the Demko video, my Demko video on the commute home. I really appreciate that because I know like that's like Carl's one of those guys for me. Like I listen to his stuff like a lot, like late
Mhm.
at night, just because he's got a great voice. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I like Tamara Demko too. When she was on and during that interview, you can tell that she's a genuine person, and she was really just I don't know how to explain that emotion that
Yeah,
I was sensing from that, but it was just like she was so conflicted because she thought Wendy was cool, and then it was just like seemed like she was gradually realizing, like, you know what, that friend of yours isn't your friend.
yeah.
And even Jeff Lacasse, he was so bamboozled by her. It's
Yeah,
crazy the
those are
world we live in. The people that
the two most fascinating ones for me to watch are those
Mhm.
two.
How much surveillance do you think they have on Wendy, and will it continue if she moves to Texas? I think they don't have. I don't know if they have like active surveillance on her. I pretty much think that wherever she goes, they just like check the tower dumps to see who's around her, you know, and check. And they know. I think Wendy, because I saw her at the at Charlie's Trolley, like using the phone, and there's federal agents in there. Who knows? They have all kinds of technology. They'll just connect to your phone on Bluetooth, and they got it.
Hmm.
They have
I think
crazy things.
I was gonna say I think we solved the mystery of like because I think when your name was displayed as your real name when that's what they're saying like under the like mine's titled Leo
Where?
and I guess like under your name like on the screen but I don't see it
Oh,
right now
here?
yeah
I
because I
thought I
think
put.
there's like
It says. I
I
thought
don't
it
know
says Grish here. It says Grish there. I don't
oh it
know.
says Grish okay maybe it
Yeah,
said something I don't know somebody mentioned that I
yeah,
don't know
or maybe they just figured it out. I don't know, but
yeah
I'm
yeah
not like too bothered by it. It's just like I
yeah
don't know. I like when people judge the content, and not necessarily like judge me
sure.
as a person.
Well, the good news is Katrina mentioned that she doesn't know you, so I think you're still in the
Oh,
clear.
okay. Oh. Let's see. All right. Oh, what time is it now?
It would be 6:34 your time, I believe. It's 2:34 my time. We're 2 hours and 15 in.
Okay. All right. Is there anything like any suggestions, like
Hmm.
anything um uh I don't know.
I think Katrina had one more question, like like a minute or two ago, where she was asking uh, for clarification on a question about Katie. I think
Okay.
that's yeah.
Um.
But
What's the time
so,
on it?
34 minutes after the hour, asking
Okay.
you.
Okay. Oh, yeah. All right. I see it. Chris, I wanted you to make a video on Katie and how you said earlier she wasn't really part of the conspiracy, but she didn't know that. I didn't really. Okay. I think that Katie initially was part of the conspiracy, but I think that her role was a conduit as far as like information and money. So I think she was keeping money for herself. And so by doing that, they cut her out, but made her feel as though that she wasn't cut out. And that happens. Like if you do something egregious like that, like they might not pounce on you immediately, but they'll work around you. And because she really didn't know much later on.
Yeah, like when she's on the stand, there's just a number of times where she just her answers are like inexplicable unless I don't know. She just comes off like this, like she doesn't really know. And also, like I think one of the other things is like they probably wanted to keep her close because she had all this information about the
Right.
conspiracy, so they wanted to make her think she was still part of the conspiracy, but like
Right.
not really.
Exactly. If she wasn't Sigfredo's woman, she'd have been dead.
Yeah.
Like when in her proffer, when she was like, "Yeah, Sigfredo came to me talking about expenses," but in her mind, she didn't think, "How would he know when he would need expenses?"
Yep.
That's like if someone like had some street smarts there, they would know.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
that's the exact part I was thinking about, but I couldn't exactly remember. But like when she's on the stand in one of the trials, somebody asks her like, "Well, how much did they give you for expenses?" And she's like, "Well, I don't know, like $500 or something." It's like
yeah,
you highlighted in one of your videos, and it's like
yeah,
you're really
like
thinking back on this. Like, wow, that is weird.
yeah, like less than $500 for $100,000 job. That's not a deposit. You pocketed that.
Yeah.
Like that was a setup. That was definitely they were setting her up because they knew she was stealing and they needed to prove it. That's all it was. It's just that people don't survive to tell that story the way that she told it. Like there's no such thing as expenses in crime. If someone, I mean, like if someone pays you to do something, I mean, I've never done nothing that like that, but like anywhere near that. But like if someone, it's just like in real life, if someone pays you to do a job, like I was a roofer, I'm gonna tell them, move your cars out of the way, move this. You have to do it, or else I
Mhm.
can't get to the roof. Or I need to know what's going on with how much. When's the last time you had your roof replaced? Because I'm not trying to have a complicated relationship with gravity today. So you need to tell me what's going on up there.
Yeah.
That's the way it works. It's you know,
Yeah. No, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
but yeah, I Philly accent of Katrina. What?
Yeah. I'm
All
not
right.
sure what that is a
Yeah,
reference to.
I think we just about we got through it, man.
Yeah, that was a lot.
That was fun, and
Yeah.
I appreciate y'all watching my first live, and I appreciate your comments, good, bad, crazy. I like them all. I like genuine feedback. I don't um if you haven't noticed, like I don't take personal shots at people or anything like that. Like I really try to address the issues, and I like making my content clear. And I appreciate you, Leo, for joining me on this, because I wouldn't do this by myself, like just sitting here talking. I have
Mm.
to be talking to someone.
Yeah, it's hard
But
for me to. Yeah.
yeah, man. But I appreciate y'all, and I'll see y'all soon. I'll post the revenge video hopefully within a week. Maybe right after that, have Wendy's TV 8 up. But yeah, like I said, over and over. I really appreciate y'all watching my videos. Like I'm really I really like that. I really do. So I appreciate y'all, and Leo, thanks for hanging out with me. And we'll be in touch.
Cool.
All right.
Looking
All right,
forward
y'all
to
be
it.
safe. Yes, sir. All right, be safe, you guys.